Hi, my name's Tim Chester. I'm the pastor of Grace Church in Boroughbridge in North Yorkshire and a faculty member of Crosslands Training. And this is another in a little series of videos looking at a couple of books, one that I've written and one that I haven't. And the book that I haven't written is, well, I wish I had, A Faith to Live by Donald MacLeod. And it's just a delight. It's just a treasure, really. It looks at a whole number of themes in Christian theology. And it's orthodox, it's material, and yet there's a freshness about the way Donald MacLeod engages with those topics. It's often one of the books I turn to if I'm thinking about a particular issue. I'll pull it down off my shelf and just check whether there's a chapter on that theme in this book. So it's A Faith to Live By, and I have to say, by the way, that this is a much more attractive cover than the version that I have. I have an old edition of it. And then the book that I've written is a book called Crown of Thorns, Connecting Kingdom and Cross. And I think it's actually one of the most important books that I've written. What I do there is just sort of identify that within contemporary evangelicalism, we kind of have two traditions. We have a tradition that emphasizes the cross and how the cross rescues us from our sin, saves us as individuals. And then we have the kingdom, the theme of the kingdom, which emphasizes the way that Christ has come in to restore God's reign over creation. And that depending on which one you emphasize, you get kind of two different views of mission, two different views of discipleship. And really what I want to do is to kind of bring them together. And actually say that both can benefit from one another, and perhaps particularly those on the kingdom side are in danger if they leave the cross behind. And so it's not so much about getting a balance, as if you have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and you've kind of got to measure the two out. Actually, what we've really got to do is connect them together to see actually how they interlock if we're going to get our theology clear and our discipleship on the straight and narrow. And really the answer to that is, in summary, is that when Christ comes into the world, he comes as its king. He comes to restore God's reign. But the restoration of God's reign is actually bad news for rebels against it. It's good news because God's reign is a kingdom of life and peace and justice, but it's bad news for rebels. And that's all of us, that's all of humanity. And so first Christ comes into his world as its king, but when judgment falls at his first coming, it falls on the king himself. That's the great kind of twist in the story. The king himself bears the judgment that we deserve, so that when he comes again, as he will do in glory and triumph, his kingdom will be good news for all who have put their trust in Christ.